So without wasting much time, uh, I'll just say a word of prayer. Then Mr. Whether Mr. Sanusi or Mr. Afis can have the floor. Our Father and our God, we thank you for this day. We are grateful unto you for your mercy, for your kindness towards us. Daddy, we ask that God that you take charge, take control, O Lord, of all that we shall be learning once again. Daddy, even as this week marks the final week, we ask that you take charge, take control in the name of Jesus. Have your way in our midst, and at the end of it all, we shall have full cause to glorify your name, O Lord. Thank you, Daddy, because you've answered us. In Jesus' mighty name, we have prayed. Amen. Amen. Thank you. All right, Mr. Fis, you have the floor, sir. Well, I don't know whether it's Mr. Sanusi that we're taking tonight.
Yeah, thank you very much for the opening prayer. And I'm also using this medium to welcome us all to the last week of the training class. Though this might be the last week, but not the last. Because like Mr. Muiwa has said earlier, don't say because we are closing the class today and you're also closing your own personal training too. Because as an adage usually says, constant practice make perfection. Because let's say in the olden days, they used to say practice make perfection. That is ordinary practice. But nowadays, in this modern era, constant, underlined, capital, the word constant. Constant practice make perfection. It is what you practice constantly that will become part of you. It is what you practice that you will know. Do you get it now? And I want you all to believe that all professional today started as an amateur. Not it's not that they all also started from the top. Everybody started from the ground. Everybody started from the scratch. So this is your own starting point too. And I'm telling you, the sky is not your limit. Once you believe in yourself, with constant practice and prayer, I believe everyone will definitely go over. And I pray God Almighty will help us all. So this is not the end. We can still proceed with our own personal practice. So God will help us. So now we are starting today's class by the special grace of God. Now today's class will be talking about pivot table, how we can use pivot table and pivot chart. And also, we will be talking about data validation and auditing tools. Though we've talked about data validation before, but we are still going to take more emphasis. We are still going to lay more emphasis on it tonight, and how you can still get to use it better in Microsoft Excel. So I'll be sharing my screen now. So now, okay, before we move on to today's topic, last week we talked about how we can how we can use Excel for data analysis. About from our normal calculation, let's say addition, subtraction, which are commonly used. We use Excel for data analysis. And how do we do that? So let me just take a simple recap and let me say like one addition to what we did last week, because last week we used data analysis for descriptive statistics. Now I'm just going to add one aspect of data analysis to this, then we start today's topic in full. Now, for example, let's say we have two variables. Let's say we have height, and also we have weight. Then let's say we have value for height. Let's say we have 23, 45, 12, 32, 43, 56, 54, 56, 12. And for weight, let's say we have 32, 56, 89, 90, 87, 76, 65, 45, and 23. Now, let's assume we are interested in testing for the correlation between height and weight, we want to check the strength of the correlation between height and weight. In statistics, we have different statistical tools. Now, your research objective will determine the type of the statistical tool you will be using for your analysis. Now, like I said earlier, we are interested in testing for the what? For the strength of the relationship between height and weight, of which the best statistical tool that can be applied here is what we refer to as correlation. Now, in statistics, like I said before, correlation has its own way of interpretation, and it has range of value. Correlation values ranges between -1 to +1. Correlation value does not exceed -1 and +1. Anytime you are dealing or calculating or testing anything that deals with correlation, the values ranges between what? -1 and +1. If the values gave you a negative value, then there exists a negative relationship. And if you have a positive value, then that means there exists a what? Positive relationship. But it doesn't stop there. We still have a way of interpreting this range of value. For example, if you have a value of 0.1 to 0.3, that means the correlation that exists between the two variables is weak. From 0.1 to 0.3 is telling us that what? The correlation is weak. While from 0.4 to 0.6, that means the relationship or the correlation between those two variables is fair or moderate. 0.4 to 0.6 is fair or moderate, while 0.7 to 0.9, that means what? You have a strong relationship. 0.7 to 0.9 is indicating strong relationship, while a value of 1 is indicating what? A perfect relationship. If you have 1 as your correlation, that means you have a perfect relationship. And perfect relationship always exists between a variable and itself. Before you can get a value of 1, that means maybe I want to test for the relationship between height and height. Between this same height and height, then I will have a perfect relationship. Between weight and weight, I will have a perfect relationship. Now, let's now test what is the correlation between height and weight. Is it strong? Is it weak? Is it fair or moderate? And at the same time, is it positive? Is it negative or what? Now, how do we go about that? For us to do this, go to data. Once you click on data, as you can see from my data now, at this edge, this is where I'm supposed to have the data analysis menu. But as you can see, I don't have it now. This is another bonus for us to also so that we can recall and for us to remember and for us to know better how we can add data analysis menu to our Microsoft Excel. Because installing Microsoft Excel, data analysis menu does not come with it. You are the one as an expert, as an Excel expert, that will add this data analysis menu to your workbook or worksheet. Now, for us to do this, go to File. Once you get to File, click on More. Once you click on More, then you see Options. Click on Option. Then, after clicking on Option, click on Add-ins. Then, once you click on Add-ins, then you will see at the bottom, you see something like Excel add-ins. Then you see Go. Click on Go. Then you have something displayed. You have a dialog box as seen on the screen. Then select the Analysis 2-pack and Analysis 2-pack VBA. Once this tool has been selected, then click on OK. Then it will load. It will load. Then be calm until it is loaded successfully. At the end of the day, you will see here now that I have a data analysis menu. Now, for me to run the correlation between height and weight now, click on data analysis. Once I click on data analysis, then I will come here and search for this correlation. Click on correlation. I told us last week that we have two ways of selecting this. is either you double click on it, that is the first way, or you click on it once and you click on OK, then it will open. Now, once it is open now, Excel now is asking me, I should tell us, or I should tell him what the range of my data. If I want to tell Excel the range of my data now, I'm going to tell Excel that the data is ranging from cell A1 because that is where my label is. I can type A1, then put colon to the last cell where my data is, that is B10. B10. So once I have A1 to B10, and then I already know that my data is in column wise, then you click on label in first row. After clicking on label in first row, then come here to where we have output option. Where do you want your result to be displayed? If you want your result to be displayed in a new worksheet, then you can leave it like this and click on OK. But if you want your result to be displayed in this same sheet, in this same worksheet, then you click on output range. Once you click on output range, then you tell Excel where do you want the result to be displayed on this particular worksheet. Then let me just say F1. Once I typed F1, then I click on OK. Then the result will be displayed. Here is a typical result of a what? Correlation analysis. If you want to interpret this, like I said before you can have a perfect correlation, that means you are testing for the relationship between a variable and itself. As we can see here now, we have one here, that is the correlation between height and height is what is perfect. That is 1. If you have 1, that means you have a perfect relationship. Now, for example, look at this one now. The correlation between weight and height, we have is 0.18654, which is telling us that what? Although the relationship between them is positive, but what is the strength of this positivity? What is the strength? That is what correlation is saying. Now, like we said before, a value between 0.1 to 0.3 is what is telling us that what the correlation is weak. So here now we can say that what there exists a positive weak correlation between the weight and height of this data generated. And that is that about correlation analysis, on and so on and so forth. So that is how you can go to data analysis, select anyone that best fits your objective, select the range, and then you click on OK. So that is that about that. Now, let's now move on to today's
well done, sir. Please, can you come back? I don't really understand.
Okay.
Thank you.
Which aspect? Is it the interpretation or how it was run?
The ranges, how you pick the range.
Okay. I said value between 0.1 to 0.3. Are you with me?
Sorry, that of A something, A1 to.
Okay, when I'm running the analysis, right?
Yes.
Okay, I picked from, okay, let me go there again. Correlation. Then, okay, I picked from A1 to B10. The first cell is A1, and the last cell where I have my data is B10. Okay, let's do this again like this. Now, let's assume that I don't want to type it the way I did it before. You can definitely, you see, this is what I have in an empty range now. You want to input the range of your data. You can definitely come to where you have the data and then highlight all the data. Select where the data is. Can you see how I selected my data? Click from the first cell to the last cell where your data is typed. Are we together now?
Yes.
Okay, so that is how you can select your data. Your data starts from where you have your first label to the last cell where you have your last value. And don't forget, if you are including the label, that is the non-numeric aspect of it, which is the height and the weight, you know, those are the variables, those are the labels. Remember to mark this where you have label in first row. Remember to mark it. If you don't mark it, if you click on OK, it will give you error, because Excel will tell you that what you've included a cell that is non-numeric. And for you to run a correlation analysis, Pearson correlation, you can only run it with what? Numeric data. Are we together now?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so that is that about that. Please, any other question before we proceed? Hello, are we together, please? Can I proceed? Hello, can I proceed?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Now, so today we'll be moving on to pivot table. Now, what do we mean by pivot table in Excel? Pivot table allows summarization of large data sets. In simple language, what we use pivot table for is to what? Summarize a large data. You have a data of let's say thousands of rows or hundreds of columns or thousands of columns. For you to summarize this data set, that is when the pivot table is useful. So pivot table allows the what? Summarization of large data set by organizing and grouping the information. So that is just the simple definition of a pivot table. It is just for summarizing what? Large data set. For example, now I'll be showing us a large data set that has been generated here, and you're going to see how we can summarize this data and it will give us a meaningful information. Now, for example, I have a data displayed here. Okay, sorry. So look at this sheet one now. I have a product ID, I have a product name, the category of the product, the region, and the sales amount. Let's assume that I'm interested in knowing the what? The sales amount of each categories of these products. I'm interested in knowing the sales amount of each product across the what? This region. I have west, north, south, east, and there are plenty of these. How do I do this? I want to know the sales amount of electronics in all the western region. I want to know the sales amount of furniture in all the north. Instead of me saying, okay, I have furniture for north here, I have another furniture for north here. No, 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 no. Instead of you doing that, then that is where your pivot table comes in. And how do we make use of pivot table? First of all, you highlight the cell that you want to include in your pivot table. Step one, highlight all the cells that you want to include in your pivot table. For example, now, if you check this data set, we have like thousands, not 1,000. As you can see as they go now. For here now, I am having something like 20,000 now, and still yet not yet completed. As you can see, this is 21,000, still moving, still moving. This is 26,000, 27,000, 28,000. This is like 40,000. And lastly, I can see that this is like a 50,000 data. And I'm interested in what? Knowing the sales amount of each product across the region. And I have 50,000 rows. How come? How do I want to go about this? Taking them one after the other without wasting my time. Is that the only thing I want to do that day? No. So that is where the pivot table comes in. And how do we use pivot table? Now, like I said before, the first thing you do is to highlight all the cells that you want to include in your pivot table. Like here now, I've highlighted all the cells. For me to highlight, this is how I did my highlight. So as you can see now, I've highlighted all the cells. I'm still going to tell us how I did that. So I've highlighted all the cells at once. I highlighted everything at once. First of all, click on any cell, any part of the cell, which is also part of where you want to highlight, where you have your data. I click on this product ID. And once I click on product ID, then you press Control A. Once you press Control A is to select all. First of all, click on the any part of the cell where you want to the data to be included in your pivot table. Then you press what? Control A, of which Control A is to select all. Now, after all the cell has been selected, the next thing now is to click on Insert. So once you click on Insert, then you will see pivot table. The first thing you say here is pivot table. Click on pivot table. If you click on pivot table, then a dialog box will be displayed, like what I have here now. First of all, you have select a table or range of your data that you want it to be included in your pivot table, which has been selected already. If you don't highlight or select it before clicking on pivot table, that means that is the first thing you'll be doing here. Now, after selecting the range of the data that you want to include in your pivot table, now the next question is that where do you want the pivot table to be placed? The pivot table report that you want to generate, where do you want it to be placed? Is it in a new worksheet or in this same worksheet? If you leave it at new worksheet and click on OK, that means your result will be placed in a new worksheet. But if you want your result to be placed in this same sheet, then you can click on existing worksheet. So once you click on existing worksheet, then you must tell Excel which cell do you want that result to be placed. Then let me just say M1, or let me say, okay, M10. So where I'm clicking now, I'm putting my result at M10. That is my own choice. It is not compulsory that if you want to do your own, every time you must be using M10. No. That is where I want my own result to be displayed. You can decide that you want your own result to be displayed in O10 or O1 or O20. So for that place you are placing your result, there is no other data there that your result will overwrite. So far you don't have anything there that your result will overwrite, then you are good to go. And if you want your result to be in a new worksheet, you can also leave it at the new worksheet. Then you can click on OK. So once you click on OK, then you have something like this. So pivot table work with 4 different areas, or let me say 4 interfaces. The first one is the filter. The second one is the columns. The third one is the row, and the last one is the follow. The first one is the filter. I told us about filter maybe in our second class. Filter is just for what? For selection. For example, now as I have different products, different plenty product ID, I can decide that okay, the only result I want here is just for product A, or the only result that I want to display in this pivot table is just for product B and product C. So you can use filter for that aspect. So now let's assume, let's do my own this way. You can also use any variable. It depends on what you want to do. Pivot table, there is not something that okay, the way he did it, I must also place my also in row. I must place. So it depends on how you want your pivot table to be. But note that anything you are placing is in this value must be numeric. Anything you are placing in this value must be numeric, because that is the basis. That is the basis of what you are summarizing. That is the basis of what you are analyzing. So are we together?
Yes, sir.
Hello, sir. Hello, ma'am. Okay, thank you. So now let's go this way. For filter, let's put product ID for filter. How do I place my variables in all this? Click on one of it. Don't remove your hand. Then you drag it down. Click on it. You drag it to the area where you want it to be filtered. I click on product ID. Once you drag it to any cell, you will see that that particular variable will be marked as used variable. It is marked because it has been used here now, as you can see. Now, the product name. Let me put product name in column. I want the product name to be in column. Okay. Sorry, let me move these. Let me move this so that you can see it as I'm doing it. Let me take it back. Let me take it back. So first of all, I click on product ID without removing my hand, then I drag it to filters. As you start performing operation in pivot table, then you will be seeing the result of what you are doing in that cell that you've selected when you are giving instruction to the Excel. You know, I clicked on what? M10. So that is why I'm having my result now in M. Now, let's proceed. Product ID, I put it at filter. Now, let me move the product name. I move it to column. As you can see now, all the products, I'm having it at the what? At the column area. Like I said before, if they ask you what is pivot table, pivot table is just used for what? Summarizing large data sets. And it is commonly and widely used in industries and organizations. Pivot table, very, very useful, because companies with large data sets, they want you to summarize their data set for you, for them. You don't need to start going here and there. Just with your pivot table, you are good to go. So as you can see now, I have products at the columns. Now, let's say I have let me move the category to rows. So this is the what? Category of the products. I have clothing, I have electronics, I have furniture, I have sport, I have toys. Let's assume before, as the data is here, if I should ask us how many categories of products do we have? We have product A, product B, C, D, and E. But the category of the product, we have electronics. Instead of you coming here saying, okay, I want to be checking one after the other, electronics, furniture, sport. Let me scroll down. Maybe I can still have another thing, clothing. Let me scroll down. No, you don't need that. With your pivot table, then you have an answer. So in this particular data set, upon say we have 50,000 rows now, I can deduce that what my product are just what? Clothing, electronics, furniture, sport, and toys. Now, don't forget, we are summarizing the sales of each category according to their product and then region. And as you can see, in each area we have here, you can move more than one cell to each area. Because you've moved category to this row now, it does not mean that you cannot move any other variable to that row. For example, now, if I should click this region now, I can still move the region to that row too. The category and the regions both are in the what? They are in the rows area. As you can see, look at my result now. Look at what I have. So I have clothing. So I'll be calculating or summarizing the sales amount for clothing in what? Eastern part, northern part, southern part, and western part. So now I have category and region. Then I can conveniently move this sales amount. That one will be at the value. Then I have a good structure pivot table. As we can see now, clothing for product A, we can see the amount. For product B, for product C, for product D, E, and we have the grand total. And at the same time, we can see the what? we can see the sales amount across each region. For East, I can see the sales amount for clothing. For North, I can see the sales amount of clothing. For South, for West, and so on and so forth. So this 50,000 rows data now, you can see how we can conveniently summarize that data set in just what? Few seconds. In just few seconds, that is how you can summarize it. If I just scroll down now, you will see a growth structure pivot table, and that is that about pivot table. And at the same time, like I said before, not only in those categories, I can have what's it called, more than one variable. In that amount also, I can also have in that value where I'm placing my cursor now, I can also have more than one variable if I have it. I'm going to be using another example. I'm going to be taking another example after this. Then you can see that we can also have more than one variable in that value area. So that is that about that. Another thing you need to know is that we can format our pivot table. After creating pivot table, you can still format your what? Pivot table. For example, for filter now, if I want to filter out some things now, so this is where you can filter. You can click on where you have each cell. So if I click on this cell now, I can filter. If I should unselect this now, and click on OK, you will realize that what? I don't have clothing and the other one here again. So that is how you can filter. So if I want to take it back, I can click on select all. Once I click on select all, click on OK, then you have everything back. That is that for the row label. If you come to the column label too, let's assume I'm only interested in product B and C. I can deselect this, deselect this, deselect this, and click on OK. Then I can only have what? Product B and product C. So, and if I want to take it back, click on it again, select all, and then you click on OK. So that's that about that. And where you are filtering, you can also sort. So as you can see, this is sort A to Z, maybe from smallest to highest, and at the same time, you can sort from highest to lowest. So label filters, so follow filters. So now here now there's difference between label filters and follow filters. If you are talking about label filters, that means you are talking about the variables like product A, product B, product C, product D. But if you are talking about the value filter, you can be talking about this the value you have inside that data, the real data. Maybe I'm interested in value greater than this particular so, value less than or value equals to. So there's difference between label and value. Like I said, bro, these are the value. So if you want to filter out here, you can be interested in value greater than 50,000, value less than 10,000. That is for value label. But if you are talking of value filter. But if you are talking of label filter, that is when you are talking about maybe this product, or maybe you are talking about this east, west, the electronics, and so on and so forth. And that is that about pivot table. Please, any question before we move on to the next example? Hello, are we together?
Hello?
Hello, yes, I can hear you,
sir.
sir.
I don't know, maybe the version of the SPSS I'm using, version 25, I can't seem to find pivot table.
This is Excel, not
Maybe after
SPSS.
selecting the row. Eh?
This is Excel, not SPSS.
Sorry, so I can't seem to find it. The
You can't find
table.
pivot table in your insert.
After highlighting, okay.
First of all, you highlight all your data that you are interested, that you want to include in your pivot table. Then you click on insert. After clicking on that insert, then you should have a pivot table.
Okay, I think I'll find it.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. So now, after pivot table, you can also have a pivot chart. So you can include pivot charts. So let's I'm interested in
Sorry,
plotting
sir.
all
Please,
this.
I have a question, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Under that sum of sale,
Okay.
I can see row labels. Can't
Row
we change
label.
that row labels to headings, or that's how we are going to leave it?
Which one? Okay, you mean this?
From the original data, yes.
Yeah,
This
it is
one is
editable.
displaying row label.
It is
Yes.
editable. You can edit it. It is editable. Yeah. You can
Okay.
edit it.
All right.
Like as you can see what I
Okay.
did now. So I just put that one as HHHH. It is editable. You can edit it.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Yes. You're welcome. So that is that about that. Now, before I'm going to leave this side, you know what I use in summarizing this particular data set now is the sum. You can also use other summary statistics apart from sum. You know, we have different let me say different statistic that we use in summarizing our data set. We have measure of central tendency, we have measure of dispersion, and the rest. So as we have some here, we can also use other things like maybe the mean and the likes. Now, if you want to do that, let's say I'm interested in using average to summarize this data set instead of the sum. Just right click on where you have this cell. If once you click on it, it will bring different options like move to report filter, move to row label, move to column, blah blah blah, remove. Then you click on value feed settings. Once you click on it like this and it display all these options, click on value feed settings. Then you can change to anything you like. You can change to any statistic of your choice. Let's say I'm interested in using average now. I can just click on average and I click on OK. So as I click on OK, you realize that say the values in those tables will change. All the values now, they've changed from the sum to what? To average. So all what I have in this table now, they are average value of each product. And that is that about that. So if you are interested in including the pivot chart now, so you can just highlight the ones you want to plot. So I've highlighted some set of data now. So I can just go to insert where I have my insert again. Then I can include chart. So click on chart. Then you have the plot of anything you've selected. So that is that about pivot chart. Not only by chart, it depends on your choice on the type of chart you want to use for your data set. Then you have it. So that is that about that. Let me quickly use another data set, for example, to take it at the last example for pivot table so that we can move to the last aspect because I can see the time is not by our side. So now, this is another data set. Like I said before, first of all, click on any part of it, select all. Once you select all, this one now contains 866 rows. So now go to insert, then I have pivot table. Then let's say I want my result to be in this same existing worksheet. Then let me just say N10 as usual. Then click on OK. Once I click on OK now, let's say I put the graduation year at the column. The major, I put the major at the row. The GPA score, I put it at the value. Oh, sorry. I think you can see what I'm doing well. Let me start again so that you can see as it's coming on board one after the other. So first of all, I move graduation year to columns. I move major to row. Then the GPA to values. At the same time, for example, now let's say I'm interested in comparing the GPA of each major between 2019 and 2020, then I have the result now. This is that for the GPA. At the same time, I can also move the recorded GPA to that value. Then, as you can see now, so I have the column for GPA. I have that of recorded GPA for 2019 and for 2020. So you can rename or you can customize the name like our sister asked in previous example. You can edit the name. For example, for this one now, if you double click on it now, you will see custom name. So I can just remove count of, delete it, and I'm left with GPA only. Then you click on OK. There's a pivot table feed name already exists. Okay, let me use another thing that has not been existing before. So let me just use this, and then I click on OK. So once I click on OK, then it has been renamed successfully. So all the names you have here, they are what? They are editable. It can be customized, so you can change it. And this is another typical what? Use of pivot table. Here now we have more than one data. This is 2019. For 2019, we have GPA and we have recorded GPA. For 2020 also, we have GPA and we have recorded GPA before the grand total. And as you can see, in the grand total also, in the grand total, we have the grand total and at the same time, the grand total for recorded GPA. Unlike the first one, that what we only have is just one variable, that we have just one grand total. So you can see the second one now, we have the grand total for the first variable across the 2 years, and we have the grand total for the second variable across the 2 years. If you are looking for the grand total across each year, then you can come downward below, then you see the total for each year with each major. And that is how you can use pivot table for what? For summarizing large data set, and at the same time including what? Your chart. So that is that about that. So now moving on. So we'll be talking, let's move on to data validation and auditing tools. Data validation and auditing tools. First of all, last week, I think in our first class, we talked about data validation. So this is an avenue for us to recall and then to understand what we mean by data validation better. Now, let's assume that we want to validate this height now, this column for height. If I want to validate this column now, what am I going to do? Click on data. Once you click on data, then you move on to where we have where is it? So move on to where we have data validation. I'm coming. Data tools. So now, normally, if you open your Excel, that data validation was supposed to show clearly. You see the way this data analysis was written here. But because I added a menu, which is this data analysis, those menus are shrink together. So that is why you can't see data analysis, data validation directly here. But if you open your own and you've not added this data analysis, there's a possibility that you will see it written clearly. And as it is now, if you are conversant or you have been practicing this very well, you will realize that this is where you have your data validation. We have it as the data tools. So at data tools, first of all, click on data. Then where you have your data tools, this is our data validation. Without clicking, if you just move your cursor to that place, I have my cursor now, it will have display what? Data validation. Then you pick any rules that you want to use for your validation. Now, click on that arrow. click on data validation. If you want to validate this cell now, if you leave it as any value, that means in this particular cell, you can enter any value. But if you click this arrow now, you can restrict the type of values that you want to exist in this particular cell. You can restrict the amount of values, maybe in ascending or descending order. Maybe you want value greater than so value, or value less than a particular value. This is where you can restrict. So in other words, you can say in data validation, you can set boundary for your what? For your data. And remember what we did that day, we did for text. Today now we are doing for numbers. If you are doing for text, let's say what we have here is not numeric, is text, is character. Instead of what I want to choose now, maybe I'm selecting whole number. If I'm selecting whole number, then I'm selecting whole number because the type of variable I have here is numeric. Data between, I don't want data between. I just want value greater than a particular value. So let's assume value I want here are value greater than 30. So that is the minimum is what? 30. I want value greater than 30. Then I click on OK. Are we together? Let me do that again. I think it's not responding yet. Data validation, value greater than 30. Okay. Apply these changes. Then click on OK. This doesn't matter the data validation. Description defined by this. Now, as you can see now, I set my data validation to be what? 30. And I click on this. As you can see what it says, it says what? This value does not match the data validation restriction defined for this cell. Why? Because the value that has been restricted or set in my data validation are what? Value greater than 30. So that is why I have this warning. Now, let me see what I have again. Now, can you see what I have here again? For this 23 also, the same warning was also sounded that what? This value does not match the data validation restriction defined for this cell. So that is that about that. So once you restrict a data, if for example, if I click on this one now, if I move to any other places, you can see that this one does not give me any warning. Unlike this one that I click, move to other place, and I have the warning. I have the warning because it is less than 30. But if I click on 45 now, press enter or move to any other places, you won't have the warning. But click on 12, move to any other places, you will have the warning. Why? Because you've set the data validation. You validated that what? All data you will be having in this cell must be greater than 30. That is why you are having something like this. Now, for us to better validate this now, then I can say, okay, come here now. Let me just say circle invalid data. Oh, why is it loading? Okay, I think I've cleared from. Okay, now I think it has responded now. Now, what I did before was to set the validation, but in order to make use or to show the physical format of the validation I've done, after that, then I come here that what? Circle the invalid data. I've shown us how you can know the invalid data first. If you double click on it, moving to any other place, then it will sound a warning for you. But without even double clicking or anything, if you want to know invalid data, you want to know outliers in that particular cell, then what you do is just come here, then you can circle the invalid data. So that is that about data validation. So for here now, we can see that those that are not circled, they are the valid data. They are valid because what? They are value greater than 30. So are we together, please? Please, are we getting it?
Yes, sir.
So any question before we proceed? Please, any question? Any question, please?
The validation is still not completely clear, sir.
It's not complete. It's not clear, right? Okay. Now
Yes.
let me come again. This is what I did. Okay, let's use weight. Let me first. Okay, let me remove this circle first before. Now let's use weight for example. Now this is our weight. Abi, this is weight. Now let's now assume that we want to set validation for this. Please, my brother that said it's not clear. Now let's do this together. We want to set validation for this weight. Come to where we have data validation. Click on data validation. Then we want to set the values that are allowed to be in this cell. Now, if you use any value, that means you are still leaving it in traditional way or anyway. It's like you are not restricting, because already as it is now, it is any value is allowed. Let me just put it that way. Already automatically as it is now, any value is allowed. But talking about data validation, that means you want to restrict, you want to set boundary. Now, for to set boundary for this, for the other one, I used O number, Abi. But in my O number, I select value greater than 30. But now let's use value between something to something. We are selecting what should be our minimum value. Please, that brother, let's do it together. The minimum value should be what?
Okay, let me see the values that are here. Let's say 40.
Okay. No, it's not we don't want the value to be you can use any value. It's not until it depends on your choice. I just want you to pick any
Okay.
value of your own choice. So you
Okay,
say
let's say
40,
between 40 and 60.
40 and 60, right? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. So we have 40 and 60. Abi. Now, then you click
Yes.
on OK. Once you click on OK, then go back to that data validation. Are we together? Then you can
Yes.
circle the word invalid data.
Okay.
So once you circle the invalid data, you realize that the thing is loading currently. After it has been successfully loaded, you realize that value that does not fall within those range, within that boundary that you've set, will be circled.
Yes.
Do you understand now?
Yes, I've seen.
So that is data validation. You know, for height, we said that we want value greater than 30. So that is why
Yes.
it left those data that are greater than 30. And for weight, we selected value between 40 to 60. So the ones that are left behind, they are those values that fall within what? 40 to 60.
60
Is it clear now?
is clear now. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome, sir. So that's that about data validation. And once you are done, if you want to remove the circle, you can easily come back here and you can clear validation circle. Then your data will be normal again. So now let's move on to trace precedent and dependent. Trace precedent and dependent. Now, this one is just used for tracing. Now, for example, this trace precedent, it is used when you are calculating. Maybe you've calculated some values and you want to trace back the values you use in calculating that particular cell. Then that is when you can use trace precedent. For example, now, let's say we have equals to sum of, let's say I want this to this, close the bracket, enter, equals to, let's say I say this minus this, I have enter, equals to this multiplied by this, I have enter, equals to this divided by this, enter. So then equals to this plus this minus this, then multiply by this, enter, equals to this plus this, enter. So now let's leave it this way. Now, if you want to do trace precedent, that means we want to trace back. This is 177. Let's assume that we want to trace back the value we use in getting this 177. That is when we have trace precedent. Now, if you want to use trace precedent, all these they are used for auditing, they are auditing tools. So if you want to use trace precedent, then you can go to formulas. Once you reach formulas, then you can see what? Trace precedent. Once you click on trace precedent, then you will see the arrow. As you can see now, I have the arrow pointing to pointing to the cell I use in getting 177, which is cell what? I have cell B2, B3, and B4. So that is that about that. If I click on this 14, and if you click on trace precedent again, it will trace those cells that you use in what? In calculating or in obtaining that value 14. At the same time, if you click on 2001 and click on trace precedent, it will also take arrow. It will what? It will point to those cells you use in calculating those values to avoid error. Say, okay, which value, which cell did I use? Apart from looking at the formula bar, this is the pictorial way of seeing the cell you use for your calculation. So otherwise, it is known as trace precedent. So if you click on this now, you click on trace precedent, it will also select the cell you use in calculating that particular value. Click on this, click on trace precedent, it will select the cell you use. Click on the last one, click on trace precedent, it will select those cells. And that is how you can use your what? Trace precedent to trace the value that you use for your what? For your calculation. Trace precedent is only used when you have what? Formulas. If you don't have formulas that you use for your calculation, then you cannot use trace precedent, because you can only trace back what you use in obtaining something. And that is that about trace precedent. Now, let's talk about trace dependent. The opposite of precedent is the dependent. I'm coming, I'm coming. Remove arrows. So once you are done, you can just click on remove arrows and everything is gone back again. This is it again. Click on the trace precedent, you have it. Click on second one, trace precedent, and once you are done, click on remove arrows and everything is gone. I said the opposite of trace precedent is what? Dependent. Now, if you click on this value now and you click on trace dependent, it will tell you among those ones that you obtain in the formula that depends on that particular value. Those calculations you've done, it will take you back the ones that what? That depends on that particular value. Now, if I click on this 56 now and click on trace dependent, so trace dependent will work on the data. The trace dependent work on the data, and it will point to what? To the calculation or result that you've obtained. While the trace precedent is the result that you obtained before that will trace your what? Your data for you. So if I should click on this one now, click on trace dependent, then it will show you among those results, anyone that depends on it. If you click on this trace dependent, this one says what? The trace dependent command found no formulas that refers to the active cell, because the cell I just clicked now was not used for any calculation. That is why you have these prompts. But if I click on any other one that has been used, click on trace dependent, then it will definitely point out the arrow where the data has been used before. And that is that about trace precedent and trace dependent. So now we have successfully talked about the data validation, the trace precedent, the trace dependent. Now let's now move on to remove duplicate. But before moving ahead, please, any question? Hello, hello house. Is there any question?
Well understood.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Now, let's now move on to remove duplicate. Now, what is duplicate? Duplicate simply means repetition of values. Let's assume that in a particular cell, you have repetition. Then you can easily, instead of you saying, okay, let me be checking one after the other, let me start removing, I have two not, let's say, okay, first of all, before I use number, let me use test. Let's say I have not, I have west, I have not again, I have not again, I have south, I have east, I have north, I have north, I have south. So now these are regions. So now I want to remove duplicate. Instead of me, now let's assume like the data we used before. Let's say we have like 50,000 rows now, and I want to remove duplicate. Will I start saying, okay, I want to start removing not one after the other again? No. Then instead of that, what do? What you do is to, first of all, highlight the cell, the column that you want to remove the duplicate. Highlight the what? The column that you are interested in removing the duplicate. Let's say I highlight this cell like this. Now, once I highlighted, then click on data. Once you click on data, then you will see what? Remove duplicate. So if you want to remove duplicate, I'm coming. Let me see where I have removed duplicate. Now, anything you want to perform in an operation, normally you should know that what? You will have it in your data tools. Maybe you want to separate column and so you will have it in your data tools. It is because of this data analysis. If you should remove this data analysis now, all these data shrink here, you will see them in full. But to remove duplicate now, this is remove duplicate. Once you click on it, a dialog box will be what? Displayed as seen on the screen. Once a dialog box is displayed like this, it will ask you, do you want to expand the selection to other cells? Because Excel realized that we have more than one column that is active in this worksheet. We have more than one active column in this worksheet. We have height, we have data there, we have weight, we have data, and we have another column here, but we only selected region. So Excel is asking me, do you want to expand? And I'm telling Excel, no, I'm not expanding. I only want to what? Do for this column. Instead, I will click on continue with the current selection. But if I want my selection to extend to other column, then I will leave it at expand the selection. But as it is now, for us to see the good result of what we are trying to do, let's just say continue with the current selection, then you click on remove duplicate. Once you click on remove duplicate, then it will come like this, and it will only tell you what? Column D. Let's assume that I click on expand order cell before. As you have only column D here, it will have bring column for C, column for B, column for A, and other active columns. So, and as we have it now, I can just say this is it has select all already. Just click on my data as headers. Now look at the difference. Before, if you don't click my data as headers, it will also take headings together with what they want to remove duplicate. But for good representation, just mark this to tell Excel that the first row, which is this region, is my heading. It is not part of the data. I repeat, if I didn't mark this, it was selected together. But once marked, I only have my data selected. So it will see that first row as heading. And once you click on OK, you will realize that what? 4 duplicate values has been removed, and we only have 5 unique values here. So we have north, west, south, east, and north. So now I intentionally put this last one so that you can see once there is any alternation, forget about since they are both north, the S in this last knot has differentiate this knot from the fourth knot. So in short, they are no more together. They are no more the same. So anyone that Excel we see a duplicate will contain the same character. So as you do for this, let's assume that we have something like 23. Oh, sorry. This value does not match data validation. You know, so we've restricted this data before. We set value between 40 to 60. Am I right? Is it 40 to 60 that we restricted this file, this column to be before?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so let's just say 45, 47. If I should enter any value that is not within that range, you will see that the Excel will continue flagging me what prompt, saying that what you are pressing is out of your bound. So 56, 47 again, 56 again, 47 again, 56 again. Now let's assume that I want to remove duplicate here now. So highlight, once highlight, then go to remove duplicate. Then I said we ask you, do you want to expand? I say no. Continue with the selection. And if you want to expand, once you click on expand, if you click remove duplicate, then it will select all other active cells. So that is the work of that what's it called? Expand to other cell. But if you click on continue with current cell, it will only go in line with the column that you selected. So in that case, clear and mark my data as headers. So then click on OK. Then once you click on OK, you will realize that what any value that has been duplicated here will be removed. And that is that about data duplication. So I believe with these few things we've been learning so far, and constant practice and more dedication with what we are doing, so I believe we can still go far more than this. We can't teach us everything finish here, except if you have more questions, then we can answer that. But as you keep on practicing, it's also going to become part of you, and you can use it well in any area you find yourself, be it for data analysis, be it for calculations, be it for presentation, for organization. As you can see there, what we did for pivot table now, you'll be seeing this data reported by CBN. You see it in papers, you see it in journals. So what they are doing is not more than this. It is only if you know, you know. It is what you can also do in just what brief minute. in a small or short period of time if you are dedicated to it. And once you continue doing it, I'm very sure you're going to perfect yourself in using the software. And I pray God Almighty be our strength, and He will also continue to support us in everything we do. Thank you very much for your concentration. Thank you very much for listening. God bless you all. So if there's any question, I think we can ask now.
Thank you so much, sir. I'm having a question.
All right, you're welcome.
Okay, sir. And I actually want to ask question on a pivot table.
Okay.
I don't know if there's any English like that. Those figures, they are somehow large. Is it formatable?
You mean these
Can we
are
format it?
this, right?
Like next say maybe I'm having a presentation now, like all those figures aside um displaying it using a pivot table from those row, filter, value and category.
Okay, from
Can
your
we
raw data
format
like
those
this,
figures?
like the way you have it here. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you are saying, can you format these figures the way you have it? 259, 340, Abby?
No. The first example you use, not this one.
Okay, this one, right? Okay, sorry. Let me
Yes,
take
sir.
it.
Yes.
Okay, this says amount. You are talking of this sales amount, like the values are too large, right?
Yeah, from the one on the pivot table, not the original data set.
Okay, the one you have here.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, like I'm coming. Can you format it? Like the number of decimal, right?
Yes, number of decimal, or if possible, it can be in percentage, or
Yes,
so as if
definitely.
for it to be like, okay.
Definitely, it can be formatted like what we did before. If you want to change it now, if you click on this value now, go to value fit settings. So if you get to value fit settings here now, you know we use average. You can use sum, you can use count, you can use the maximum, the minimum, the product, the count number. So these are what you can use. And if you click on number format, can you see now? So this
Yes,
is
sir.
where you can format the numbers to any style of your choice. You can put it in percentage. This is percentage.
Oh,
Can you see now?
okay.
Normally, if you have it,
Yes,
this
sir.
is how it is before. Abby, can you see? 504.2157256. Are we together? Can you see
Yes,
it?
sir.
So
Yes, I can see it, sir.
if you click on percentage now, then we convert it to percentage. And if you don't want it to be in decimal places, you can also reduce the decimal here. If you want it to be in no number, you can leave the decimal at 0. And if you want it to be in decimal, you can increase it to the number of decimal of your choice. So it is formatable, definitely. So let me take it again so that we can all see it clearly. First of all, once you
Okay,
click
sir.
on this values here, then go to value fit setting. Once you reach value fit setting, you should have selected anyone you have here. Like for example, we have average before. Then you click on number format. Once you click on number format, then you can change to any format of your choice. Let's say I want to put it as percentage now. Then I leave it as
Okay.
2 decimal. If I should click on OK, then as you can see, those values has been what? It has been formatted. Can you see it now?
Yes, sir. I can
Did
see
I
it.
try to answer your question now?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
All right, you're welcome, man. So please, any other question?
Sorry, sir, please. I want to ask how you get to the value field. I think I got lost around that side.
Which
I don't know
one?
whether I can. like where you get the value fields column that you were using to edit it, to format it rather, was it by right clicking?
No, 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 no. Where you have your pivot table, you know there's an area where you have value. Can you see where my cursor is placed now?
Yes,
Where I
sir.
have value, then click on
Yes.
that average value.
Okay. Okay.
Once you click on it, then you will see value feed settings.
All right. All right. All right, sir.
So then you can go to your number format to change it to any format of your choice. And then
All right.
once you are done, remember to click on OK. If you don't click on OK, the format will not change. So you should click on OK instead of closing it. So then you have the format of the selected format of your choice. Is that clear now?
All right. Yes, sir.
All
Thank
right.
you, sir.
All right, you're welcome. So please, any other question? Any other question, please? So in the absence of no question, please don't forget, like we said in the beginning of the class, constant practice. Constant practice. I know my boss will also address this maybe in SPSS class. Constant practice make perfection, not ordinary practice. At least in a day, if you dedicate 2 3 hours for this, it's not too much. It's not too much. So constant practice will make perfection. And before you know it, in 1 or 2 months, you're an expert also in Microsoft Excel. So please underline the word constant practice, not ordinary practice, constant practice. And I pray God will help us all. So that's that about that. Thank you very much.
Now, sorry, sir,
Yes,
please,
sir.
before you go, I would like to ask, can we get a data set we can be using to practice? I don't know if you can release, even if it is one out of this data set
Okay,
for
you are
us
talking about the
to
data
use
sets
in
we use now,
practice.
right? You are talking about this data set, right?
Yes,
Yeah, you can get it
yes, yes.
definitely. You will get it. Don't worry. You're
All
going
right.
to get it.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Mm.
Thank you so much, sir, Mr. Sanusi. We really appreciate you this night.
You're welcome.
We are so grateful for the journey thus far. I want to also appreciate Mr. Fiz as well. We are so grateful. Thank you for tonight once again. And honestly, this class, I know for sure that it's not about the number, but it's about the impact. That is
Exactly.
the important thing. So it's I'm glad that at least few. It's not like not everybody, not all of us. It's not like we don't all have questions. I know that some people just want to go and try some things before they ask some questions too again. So I believe they will keep practicing more and more. So also I don't want to just waste much time. Um, I believe we've all picked some things again tonight. I I'm trusting that even with the number that we have, we will still have something much more better even to do. While the class was even going on, something dropped in my mind that we are dealing with data, a lot of data sets. Now we've learned about how you can draw out a particular set from another larger set. These are just some operations. There are some operations that you have to do. Even when you get jobs that are like data entry jobs, even online. There are jobs online people get, and you are just basically dealing with this Excel kind of work, analysis kind of work. A lot of jobs out there are on now, data analyst, data entry work, and these jobs are paying in dollars. So if one can really sit down and get this knowledge, develop it even by oneself, it will go a long way. So thank you so much once again for this impact. We are so grateful. We do not take it for granted at all, at all, at all. All right.
All right.
I believe there are no other questions. Mr. Hafiz, anything, sir, from your side?
Thank you, Mr. Maiwa. Thank you, Mr. Ibrahim, for for the class. I don't have anything to say,
All right,
rather
sir.
than just to encourage every one of us all that this is just the beginning.
Yes.
There's no Mr. Know-how and there's no island of knowledge. Everybody just try to learn from things. So the most important thing is just to know the basics. The moment you know
Yes.
the basic, from there you can advance to any level of your choice. So this is just the beginning, Sha. So let's keep on learning, and in the next few weeks, you're also good in what we are doing. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. All right. So I'll say we should all have a wonderful night. I believe that by the time we come, or everyone will have much more questions. At least when we go back to develop on these things that we've picked tonight. All right. Do have a wonderful night. God bless you all. Uh, and have a good night rest. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Yes, sir.